Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday. It is the 26th day of April 2022. And I hope that this Tuesday finds you healthy, safe today. And that you and your family, in terms of the needs of you and your family, in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders, who try every day to save lives. And those that they save, appreciate them. Also, blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us, to keep streets, sidewalks, and parks clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Blessings and double blessings upon the men and women trying to deliver, help, and rescue the victims of child molestation and pedophilia, the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, sex slavery, and double curses on the perpetrators, the perverts, the profiteers that traffic in human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the streets, literally, of the United States of America. No roof over their head. And millions around the world in similar worse conditions, and blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was news yesterday regarding Jalen Brunson. Now, before we get into that, which I feel is the most important information of this video, I want to talk about Shaden Sharpe. Shaden Sharpe, University of Kentucky. Shaden Sharpe, University of Kentucky, committed early to the University of Kentucky and sat out this year with the intention of either going into the NBA draft or returning for his sophomore year to actually play at Kentucky, which he didn't do this year. I remember, and it's been reported, that the coach, John Calipari, thought he should return. Now, to me, that plays a large role in my observation, my analysis of Shaden Sharpe. With regard to talent coming through Kentucky, John Calipari is more right, oftentimes, than wrong about their NBA fit and preparation. And of course, I'm mostly thinking of Kevin Knox, who I also remember John Calipari wasn't sure should leave after his freshman year, and told NBA scouts it would take him 4 years, 3 or 4 seasons to develop. Kevin Knox, as we saw, did not develop that way. And as it turns out, he should have gone back to Kentucky for his sophomore season. Also, the problem I'm having with Shaden Sharpe is all we have is high school video of him. We might have some Kentucky practice, but we don't have game footage of him playing against Division I level talent. We don't have him playing even against NBA talent, maybe even in a summer league or a Drew league or anything like that. So we have no idea whether he's ready to play in the NBA. And going off of his high school, the limited, really, high school video that I saw, I wouldn't pick him in the top 10. I wouldn't. Unless I was a team that had a pick to throw away. And the Knicks are not that team. Okay. We really need to either trade this pick to create space to let our current young roster play, or to add talent, like maybe a Jalen Brunson that could actually help us win games now. Okay. So let me talk to you about the issues I'm having with Shaden Sharpe. I just mentioned the lack of information. In this information age, I'm looking at the lack of information. And the reason for the lack of information, again, as I mentioned, is that he hasn't played. He hasn't played against people that are Division I talent. So we don't know. Really, we don't know what we would be getting in him. Last year, or it was the year before, I was doubtful as to LaMelo Ball, if you recall, because of the same reason. But LaMelo Ball at least had tape of him playing against various professional players in different countries, including Australia, which is a very respected league. And at the time, I remember saying it's 50-50. He could be really big boom or a really big bust. As it turns out, he was a really big boom. But it was 50-50. With Shaden Sharpe, I'm not even sure I'm going to give it 50-50. And I know some of y'all going to think I'm crazy because you're getting hyped because of ESPN making him number 1 on their list. If y'all don't know by now not to trust ESPN, I can't tell you nothing. But the thing is, he reminds me in both size and situation of another kid that came out of high school that announced he was coming out around 6'6", had all the colleges after him, and decided to come out of high school. And that was Kobe Bryant. At the time, there were a number of high school players that had come out into the NBA, and most of them were busts. And the reason they were busts wasn't because of their talent. It's because they came out too early, and there's a lot more mentally as well as physically and emotionally to playing in the NBA. I'm thinking mostly of Quish Washburn, a Coleon Young. There was a kid that actually played his freshman year at Seton Hall, and he blew out also. And I think a couple of those guys have died since then. It's not always pretty. People talk about it's always, we want the glory, right? But there's a dark side. And especially when you're a young kid, there's a dark side. And so we need to remember that. And I remember Kobe Bryant. And I remember looking at high school video of him at the time, which is not as advanced as the high school video we might get now. I think you can still see some of his stuff on YouTube. But when Kobe Bryant played in high school, it wasn't just about dunks. See, the only video we get of Shaden Sharpe is him dunking on people. That's not enough to show you're ready to play against grown men in the NBA. Okay? What I saw with Kobe Bryant was a man among boys. I mean, it was literally like he was playing against grade school kids, and he was a grown man. That's what it looked like when you watch him in high school. He had a tough game, like in the playoffs in high school. And, they were triple teaming him and boxing one in him, but for the most part, it was like he was playing against chairs, standing still. When you watched him in high school, it was and even then with all of that, at the time, I was concerned because he was 17, right? He was actually, I don't even think he was 18 yet when the Lakers drafted him. I think he was 17. Okay. And so I was concerned. He's so young. And generally speaking, at the time, the thought was, if you're a big man, if you're 7 feet and you're coming out early, you got a better shot than somebody that's like, 6'6", who might be, at the time, they called it a tweener. Like that didn't have a position really. And so it was, I was a little nervous for the kid, but what gave me hope was that Jerry West, who I still consider one of the all-time great, not just talking about basketball, which he was, but I'm talking about talent evaluation. Jerry West is one of the all-time great talent evaluators in basketball history. Some people just have that gift, man. And he was very high on Kobe Bryant coming out of high school. And that's how he was able to make the trade for Vlade Divac to get him. Charlotte actually picked Kobe and then traded him for Vlade Divac and some other stuff. But Jerry West wanted Kobe Bryant. And so, and that's Jerry West today. I don't have him, so I'm looking at what Coach Cal is saying. And Coach Cal is not very bullish on his pro prospects at this moment. Whereas he would be more bullish if he came back to Kentucky for one more year. And honestly, most of these college coaches I don't trust because they're just after their own program. What these guys could do. I remember back in the day when Ray Allen was deciding to leave UConn after his sophomore season, and people were like, the question was like this, and this was typical ESPN question: Does he owe you, Coach Calhoun? Does he owe you to come back? What kind of question is that? Right? But that's the thought process sometimes with the college coaches. We need you to help our program. Never mind, go take care of your family. Ray Allen's family was living in a trailer in South Carolina at the time. Okay? Actually, he came back for his junior year and left. And after sophomore year, they were saying, does Ray owe you? Should he come back? Ray came back because he needed that next year to sharpen up a little bit. And obviously he did. And obviously it worked out. But I don't believe that with Coach Cal. He made his money. He's like dominant. He's like an institution at Kentucky. It's not about that with him. I really do believe he's after the best interests of the kids. And so there is no doubt when I looked at the high school video, the limited that I looked at, that Shaden Sharpe obviously is a prospect for Division I that you want on your team, right? But as far as the NBA, it's I'm telling you, it's very difficult. It's a real shot in the dark. Now he could become a star. I'm gonna guarantee you one thing: his rookie year, he's not gonna be no star. He's gonna look bad. I'm watching him in high school. Yes, he could jump over everybody. Yes, he can. That's high school. Okay? Not the league. That's not the league, y'all. Y'all gotta have respect for the league. You can't just show up in the league and do whatever you want. It ain't like that. Look at the playoffs. Okay? But he had trouble getting separation in the open floor from some high school kids. I'm not saying he can't develop that. That's not like a game changer in terms of Division I basketball. But it's in a Division I environment that he would learn that. Okay? He had trouble getting separation. Some of his jump shots were off balance because he had trouble getting separation. He's not going to jump over everybody in the NBA. No. So what am I saying? I would not take the draft pick. I would not. If I fell in the range that he was available, I'd use that pick to get something I need. Like more draft picks, get rid of some contracts, so on and so forth. I'm not picking him in the top 10. I'm not. I'm just telling you. I know it's going to be a contrarian view. It's a lot of y'all get hyped. Like I said, you get the ESPN high school highlights and you think, he's going to be a surefire star because he could jump high. I don't look at it like that. I love the framework, the template of what he is. IQ seems very high. Defensive acumen, very high for high school. Okay. Very good reactions on defense. I love the defense, in terms of the potential. I'm looking at potential now. I don't see nothing that's NBA level yet. And I didn't see anything in the high school video that was NBA level. Now, he's a young kid. Maybe during the course of this year, sitting on the bench and practicing with Kentucky, he developed. He could have even grew. I don't know. And you know what's going to play a large role? The workouts. The combine and the workout. They're going to play a large role. The teams that work him out are going to get a much better view than I could get from watching high school highlights. Okay. So the teams that work him out will get a really good assessment, a better assessment of whether he could play in the NBA. I don't think he can right now. And I'm saying if some team is drafting him, he's not Cade Cunningham. He's not Cade Cunningham. He's not. So like Cade Cunningham could play in the NBA. You could tell that after his, freshman year at Oklahoma. What he did in his freshman year at Oklahoma told you he could play in the league. Okay? We don't have that. We don't have that with Shaden Sharpe. And I'm not hyping on high school dunks. I'm just not. Okay? So, yeah, I wouldn't. This is my Shaden Sharpe video. I'm not picking him. I'm telling you right now, I'm not picking him. He could become a superstar in 3 or 4 years. He could. But right now, the way the Knicks are, what we got right now, not him. Not him. You talking about Jaden Ivey, who we've seen against Division I players? Jabari Smith, who we've seen against Division I players? Paolo Banchero, who we've seen against Division I players? Okay. And even all of those guys are going to need 2 years development. All of them. Okay? At least. So, or Benedict Mathurin, we know what he could do. We just seen him in the tournament. That's what I'm saying. Jeremy Sohan, we just seen him in Division I basketball. Lockdown 1 through 5. Okay. I have no idea about Shaden Sharpe. And so, like I said, the teams whose general managers, coaches, and scouts are going to be able to work him out in their facility, work him out against other players that are coming from Europe that haven't made the league and working hard to get in, that are coming from past Division I players, your guys that are hungry, that are coming like your Caleb Loves, who are hungry to make the league after playing the games of his life in this past tournament. Let's see him play in that. We're not going to be able to see that. They're not going to let the public see that. So I don't know. We're going to have to wait for reports that come out about how he's doing his workout. And if his agent doesn't allow him to work out for teams, which is possible, and if his agent doesn't allow him to go to the combine, which is very possible, we don't know nothing. We don't know nothing about this kid. And so I wish him the best. I hope he becomes an NBA superstar. I hope he gets maximum deals and takes care of his families forever. But I don't want him this year. Too much risk. There's too many other guys I just named that I would take above him, that I know would perform a certain level on the NBA scale, that I know what I'm going to need for them. Keegan Murray's. I know what I'm going to need for him. AJ Griffiths, even AJ Griffith. And he's like one of the youngest guys that I'm looking at in this draft. And I know he's going to need 3 or 4 years. But I know what I'm getting. I've seen him against Division I talent. And so I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on Shaden Sharpe. I'm just telling y'all straight. I'm going to pass. Okay. Now, yesterday, some news came out that gave me more insight into the Jalen Brunson situation. First of all, his performance in the playoffs has convinced me I would pay the $20 million now. He's won me because I've seen what he's doing in the most intense situation in basketball. I did not expect the Jazz to be dominated the way they're being dominated by Dallas. They're being dominated right now. I think they lost by at least 20 the last playoff game. And so with Luka now getting back in his stride. The first game he had just come back from a layoff and his injury, had to get back in his stride. Luka got back in his stride last night. Jalen continued doing what he's doing. Lights out for Utah, man. Now the Donovan Mitchell situation, like I told you, he's on a $163 million deal. They're gonna ask for a boatload. They're gonna ask for your mother, your brother, your firstborn, your right arm, everything for Donovan Mitchell. I don't want to do that. So let's talk about Jalen Brunson. The news that came out was, and this indicates a lot, I'm going to tell you in a second, but the news that came out was Jalen Brunson's father, who apparently is representing him, say that they could have signed him last summer for the $56 million, 55.6, same as Mitchell Robinson. But they did not offer him the contract. Then Jalen Brunson's father said he didn't want to even negotiate during the course of the season because he's obviously upset. He thought they should have offered that to him last year in the summer. So then news came out that Dallas claimed that they offered him this money in January and he turned it down, which made Jalen Brunson's father even more angry because he said he ain't turned crap down. They didn't offer him nothing. Now, Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick, is very upset. You could just see that. He's very angry with Dallas. I've never seen Dallas botch something like this. I was just singing their praises in yesterday's video, but they botched this one because now you got Detroit interested in Jalen and, of course, the Knicks. Bigger news even than that is that Dallas, and this has got to be coming from the owner, said they're not interested in a sign and trade. Now, that is big news. That means you cannot trade Julius Randle or Mitchell Robinson or anybody else for Jalen Brunson. They're not going to do that. In other words, this is the game plan from Dallas. They're going to throw the boatload of money at him. Like they're going to overpay. Because Rick said there ain't going to be no discounts. In other words, whoever gives the highest money will get the services of his son. So now Dallas has got to overpay to keep him if they're not going to do a sign and trade. Because he will walk away for nothing. And I love Mark Cuban. And like I was just singing the praise of the Dallas organization yesterday. But that would be criminal to let this guy who got you 41 in a playoff game, who's helping you now breed that next piece without Tim Hardaway as a second option, without Kristaps Porzingis, with Dimwit on your bed. He's taking you, Jalen Brunson, into the second round of the playoffs because that's what's happening. So now it looks like, to me, this increases the Knicks' odds of getting better. I'll tell you why. First off, Now the Knicks have no cap space, $122 million they payroll, right? They got Derrick Rose. They got Nerlens Noel. They got Alec Burks on expiring contracts, 1-year contracts. They need to move Julius Randle, and really and truly, they need to move Evan Fournier. Okay? But let's put Fournier aside for a second. So, this now, okay, now, number one, let me say this. I've been calling Leon Rose the Don for a minute now. I think I came up with the nickname, did I not? And sip of my coffee before it gets cold. So, I think I came up with that nickname. And the Don has shown himself in the draft process. Okay. Now he got to show what he can do for real on the free agency. Because this is a clear setup. What do I mean? You got to move contracts. You got the contracts to move too. Move them. You got to clear the space. This is the situation I wanted in terms of giving up players and getting expiring deals. No. He's got to give up players into somebody's cap space so we can clear money. And I think he should do it. Now, yesterday I was watching a little video clip of my man Sim on Nothing But Knicks. Love Sim, my man. And Sim put up the teams with the cap space yesterday, and it led the list was led by Detroit. They had like 40 million in cap space. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just pulling it up right now, and he was saying. And I think, I'm not going to disagree with him. He was saying that probably they won't help the Knicks. What I mean, when he meant by that is they won't take any contracts on because they got the cap space. So, okay, let me back up for a second. Any team that's going to take on one of the Knicks contracts is going to want draft capital to do that. That's why they do it. They're not doing it because they like you. They're doing it because they need some draft capital. Okay, they want draft picks. The Knicks have draft picks. We don't have to clean ourselves out to get Jalen Brunson. Okay, we don't have to do that. But I'm trying to see who got. But this thing ain't helping me. This daggone. I'm looking at Spotrac right now. I'm trying to say who got the cap space, man. It's not. Okay. Looks like Oklahoma City. Yeah, looks like Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Detroit, Memphis. Memphis, that's scary. They got cap space. Memphis, Charlotte. Looks like they got, that looks like the cap space situation. So, man, yeah, looks like the cap space situation. We're going to see what happens here. But he looked at, top to bottom yesterday. Now, that means the Don's going to have to give up some picks. Okay. There's teams this is a market. What does that mean? That you got 30 teams in the NBA. You're going to have some teams that are very interested in this situation because they want the picks. Okay. So we could be trading a pick to clear some space. Now, we're going to have to. Now, we don't have to trade a whole bunch of picks to clear some space, but we got to trade some. We're going to have to, I think Leon's going to have to make use of all them second rounders we got. We got, I think, at least 7 second round picks in the next 3 drafts. Like 7. We got, and then we have in the next 3 drafts, 4 first rounders. We're not going to give up all of them first rounders, obviously, but I think we could do the Dallas pick and maybe some seconds and get rid of a couple of contracts from that to clear space enough to get Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, we're looking at 20 million. I don't think we're looking at 25, but I think we're looking at 20. And we would do that. We could do that by clearing one of those guys or two of those guys I mentioned. Really, you clear any of those because you're talking about approximately $10 million with Burks, $10 million with Noel, $10 million. Well, it's really $15 million with Derrick Rose. Okay, and in this case, I want to tell you, Derrick Rose is a major trade chip right here because $15 million. That gets you real close to 20. Right? You can make up the next 5. That gets you real close to 20. Okay. So Derrick Rose could be a major trade chip. And so could Burks because of his ability to play fourth quarter playoff basketball. So you can move that $25 million and you can get Jalen Brunson. And this is the thing. If you do something like that, why do I like it? Because if you move Derrick Rose, right, you're losing a valuable piece, no doubt, mental wise, bench wise, so on and so forth. But you're opening up space for Deuce, and you're still getting Jalen. And if you moved Burks and Rose, which to me are your two most valuable trade pieces, if you move that $25 million and sign $20 million of Brunson, now who you got? You got Brunson. You got IQ, and you got Deuce. And now you've opened up space also on the wing, because Burks is really a wing. Now you got to talk about Randall and somebody else, but that's a separate deal. I still think we could get a Harrison Barnes, I don't think we can get Jeremy Grant. I don't think we can get him. I don't think Detroit is going to want Julius. I don't think so. I mean, it would be nice if they did because Jeremy Grant's expiring and he's looking for an extension. Okay. But we can use him as an expiring deal. But I can see Kings being stupid enough to do it. They just went and traded the worst. That has got to be the worst trade, at least in the last 10 years, that they traded Halliburton to get Sabonis. That was got to be the worst trade in at least the last 10 years. That management is probably the worst in the NBA. So maybe they stupid enough and the Don is slick enough to get them to take on Julius. And then we could take Harrison Barnes off their hands, who's an expiring deal and will back up Obi very well. But this, to me, the Jalen Brunson news is good for the Knicks because that means Rick is very upset with Dallas. That means that the whole lovey-dovey Dallas family environment don't mean nothing now. That's a huge thing off the table now. And that means that we might be able to get, because he's definitely looking. And even like, he ain't doing Dallas no favors. What it quoted was yesterday, no hometown discount, no discount. And then Dallas said, okay, fine, no sign and trade. That's a war right there. That's a war. That means Rick is saying, cool, we're going to play this out and my son's walking for nothing. Unless my man says, okay, yeah, here's $25 million a year. You want this? Okay. That's what Mark Cuban may have to come up with. I don't know. This is going to be a fun postseason, man. The games are tight. I can't tell you who's going to come out East or the West. I can't. It's too evenly matched. And I'm loving the way look, I'm in a good mood because Brooklyn got swept. Pull out the broom. Even though it was Boston, I don't care. I'm glad they got swept. I am so happy they got swept. So that made my day. And the rest of these games are just going to be off the chain. It's really that kind of competition out there. And you're seeing the playoffs represent something for separating the men from the boys. That's what I'm saying. Everybody Doncic could shoot threes, but they're getting ready to get beat. They're getting ready to get beat in Denver. Again. Okay. What you need, brethren, and I keep telling y'all, you want to go somewhere in the playoffs? You better come with some defense. Now, some of y'all don't want to hear that. You start seeing dunks and high scoring and we need to go get this one. He could shoot, or we need shooting, blah, 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 blah. You better play some daggone defense or you ain't going nowhere. Okay. Period. The most high octane offense that played no defense was Mike D'Antoni's Phoenix teams. And they couldn't get over the hump, y'all. Why? You need to get stops down the stretch. And then I remember the critical game that they lost against the Lakers, they're going to run our test. Got physical. Real physical. And that's why they won the game. Okay? And that game was pivotal to the series. Anyway, better play some defense. There you go. So now, I think the Knicks have a chance to get a Jalen Brunson, still put IQ and Deuce in position to get minutes and be in a rotation, remove some salaries, and get rid of some players we need to get rid of. I think we're in a very good spot right now. And especially now with the whole war going on with Dallas, the relationship between Rick Brunson and the New York Knicks in terms of Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau becomes critical. It becomes critical. Because you know the Knicks, that's what I'm saying. Leon's job now is to get rid of some salaries and not bring anything back. I want to see how this plays out. This is going to be hype. This is better than anything on television right now. I'm trying to tell y'all. This is going to be good. We're going to see what happens here. I'm very excited, y'all. I just got to tell you. And you know what? Deuce is my man. Deuce and Mitchell. Those are my guys. But I can't tell you. I can't honestly sit here and tell you. I'm going to pass on Jalen Brunson right now when he's scoring 40 and 30 and they beating Utah. They up 3-2 on Utah. I can't tell you, I should pass on this guy. To me, like I said, I'm really big on some things. Defense is one, and playoff performance is another in the NBA. I respect the NBA. I respect it so much that when I see you rocking in the playoffs, okay, I want you. I'm not saying I'm going to pay everybody that rocks in playoffs $20 million, but I'll pay Jalen that money because he's showing he could do, and he's still 25. Not that he has a big upside. I don't think so, but he's going to be steady. And he's not going to freeze in Madison Square Garden like Julius Randle. Okay? He's not going to trip. So, we're going to see how this works out. Boy, July 1st is going to be interesting. Man, oh man. Like the quote my man Ron Cleveland. Man, oh man, oh man. July 1st is going to be interesting. And before that, draft night. It's going to be lit. So, hey, let me tell you this too. We doing live show, draft night. We doing live show, post-draft reaction. Definitely for this year. Oh my goodness. Yes, the Raw Hebrew gonna be live for draft night. I'm telling you right now. Not the May 17th when we find out where we picking. I'm talking about June, the actual draft. Wow. Anyway. Here we go. I told y'all this is a big summer for the Knicks. It's looking good right now. When I saw that news yesterday, I was like, oh, okay. This is looking good for us right now. Looking real good. So let's see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting. This drama is real. It's live. It's lit. Anyway, y'all enjoy, man. Enjoy your Tuesday. Sorry about Shaden Sharpe. I know some of y'all going to be disappointed. And I'm sorry, but I got to keep it real. This is raw. I got to keep it real. I'm passing on that boy. I'm sorry. Not right now. No. Right. Let somebody that don't need talent, that got time to just let him sit in the G League for 2 seasons. We're just going to take that to have him ready. Okay. Let San Antonio do that. I'm not doing that right now. Okay. Not right now. Y'all have a very good Tuesday. Shalom.